Well, I caught a little bit of the breakdown here. I'm wearing Arizona again because I caught little bits and pieces, or well, not exactly bits and pieces, but a few little takeaways that I saw from the press conference that Gary Bettman did with Alex Morello, talking about the Coyotes and the sale and how it all ended up coming to be, and all that, and the sale to Utah, and just I thought it was interesting that this apparently wasn't discussed really until March 6th, according to Gary Bettman, and that's kind of how this whole thing came together. That it all kind of came together quick, but again, March 6th. I thought that's kind of you know, like you knew this was going to happen, or at least you thought you knew this was going to happen a while ago. Why did you not finally sit down with Morello until March 6th to start figuring it out? But needless to say, the press conference had some interesting thoughts because you know Morello talks about how he's very passionate about the team. He's very passionate about the Phoenix area and all that. But yet, the whole thing with the building and everything, and people were asking, at least the media were asking, how are you going to get this done? You weren't able to get all this other stuff done that you said you were going to get done, and yet you weren't able to get it done. How are you going to get this land auction? How are you, And he's like, I'm going to win this land auction. I'm going to build this arena. Which, okay, you're hell bent on that, which is, it's good if he's passionate about doing that. Great, but a lot of and even a lot of the media had asked him, how are you going to win over, how are you going to win back the fans' trust here after what's gone on with Glendale, with everything, and just everything that's surrounded it. And he said it's going to take a lot of work. He's like, I know a lot of a lot of the fans don't really trust, don't really have a lot of faith in me right now. I've got to win that back, which is all well and good. One cool thing I thought was absolutely freaking hilarious. He ended up walking it back a little bit, but the media asked him, how come you haven't really made a lot of public appearances, or been in a lot of press conferences? I popped for this when he said, I just hate the media. I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was so funny because I'm like, I don't blame you. Not many people like the media. The media is so flippin' corrupt right now and just so horrible that I don't blame him for that. I don't blame him for saying that. Now, he did kind of walk it back. He walked it back a little bit. And of course, Gary tried to smooth things over. Well, I think what he meant was this. And it was interesting, having Gary try to interject himself, saying, well, I think he meant this. And it was kind of funny. And he did walk it back, saying, well, I was just being facetious. Were you really? I don't know about that, but I popped for that. I just don't like the media. Awesome. That was fantastic. I was with him 100% on that one. He said that, and I'm like, thank you. Even though he did walk it back a little bit, I still popped for I just hate the media. But no, he's hell-bent on getting this arena deal done. And one thing I found interesting, now I would love to know from somebody in charge in Glendale. He said the reason they got kicked out of Glendale was because Glendale wanted him to sign a 20-year lease with Gila River. And he said, absolutely not. Now, everything that's gone on with Glendale, everything that has gone on with Gila River and everything that went on there, I don't know. I have a hard time believing that the city of Glendale said to him, I want you to sign a 20-year lease. I'd like to know a little more if that's the case. One other thing, too, I thought that was interesting was a member of the media asked him about all the unpaid bills and stuff, like for the hotels when the team was on the road. And he said, I don't know of any. I'm not aware of any unpaid bills. If he's not aware, how is he not aware? Who does he have delegated to, in finance to pay those bills? And if they haven't happened, why does he not know about it? I just thought that was kind of interesting that he wouldn't know of any unpaid bills, including all the stuff that they went through in Glendale. I'm not aware of any unpaid bills. I don't know about that. But there was one I can't remember his name right now. He was a member of the media, and he went on a long soliloquy of everything that had happened since Maruello took over, and every bit of it was factually correct. And Gary comes in, is there a question in there? And he said, getting to it. I did like that. The reporter was right on him and laid out fact after fact after fact, and he did eventually get to the question about, I think he was the one who talked about, the having the trust and gaining the trust back of the fans and all that, because the fans right now do not like him. And I can't really say I blame them, because they're without a hockey team for at least the next 5 years, or at least we think the next 5 years. It's interesting. Another thing Gary said in the press conference, he said it could be less, because they will get, if they get this arena done, they have that 5-year window or less, that they then will get an expansion team. So if Maruello wins this land auction and gets the papers and everything, which is another thing Maruello said, he looks forward to winning the land auction and then getting in touch with the people in Phoenix and trying to get Phoenix to help work with him to get the permits and everything, because it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of permits. It's going to take a lot of red tape there before he can even get a shovel in the ground in that area. But he seems like he really wants to get this done. And if he does, awesome, But we'll have to see. But it's interesting, because apparently they have a thing in Phoenix where there can't be two competing venues, because you have the Footprint Center where the Phoenix Suns play. So you're going to have the hockey team potentially playing over in this other area in North Phoenix. Now that is Phoenix, of course. And one other interesting thing too that I did find interesting too is, because the topic had come up of, could you sell, would you sell the rights? Could this be something where, if you build the arena, then you can turn around and sell the team or whatever, or sell the rights? And he said, no. Gary wants, they want the arena done, but then it's at least, he would not be able to sell the team or the rights or anything for at least the next 5 years after the arena's built. So he's going to be the owner of the Arizona Coyotes 2.0, if there is one. So he can't even sell the rights to somebody because somebody had asked, would you be able to sell this to somebody else? And he's like, no. So this is all on him. This is all on him. He has to get this done. He himself, he says he's going to finance the whole thing. He's no public money, nothing. I just, that's a lot of money. A lot of money. $68.5 million they're talking about. What the estimated, what the start value of this auction is going to be. That's where you got to start. You might have you never know. You might have a couple more bidders get in there. Who knows? It might be interesting. So yeah, no selling of ownership rights, no selling of the team. Excuse me. None of that. None of that can be done. It's all on him. It's going to be a lot. I mean, to start off at $68.5 million for this land. Woofta. It's very pricey. Very, very pricey. And then it's going to be if he gets this arena deal done, it's going to be another $1 billion for him to get back into the league because it's going to be an expansion team. That's $1 billion. Which, wow, that's crazy. $1 billion for an expansion team. But it's interesting because as revenues go up, and values of the teams go up, there's talk that in the next few years, when, and I am saying when because I think this is going to happen again. They are going to expand again. They're going to go to 34. They might go to 36 teams, or as one of my friends has gone and said, he's thinking they're going to 40. He's going balls to the wall saying they're going to have 40 teams. I don't know if it'll be that much. I think 36 is where they would have to go. If they're going to expand, I think 36 is where they go because then you have an even amount of divisions again. Although if you're doing 36 teams, you can't do 4 divisions. You got to do 6. That just would make more sense. But it's obvious that when the NHL expands again, and yes, I am saying when, Arizona is going to be the first team. They're going to be team 33. Who will be team 34? It's looking like it might be Atlanta, which I know a lot of fans aren't going to be that crazy about, saying you're going back to 2 areas where it didn't work. It didn't work the first time in Arizona, so why would you go back there? And it didn't work twice in Atlanta. I think a lot of fans aren't going to be that impressed if teams 33 and 34 are Arizona and Atlanta. Which then, of course, does beg the question. You're going to give these teams another chance, but you're not going to give Quebec City another chance. Quebec, for sure, hockey market. Absolutely. But they're not Arizona. They're not Atlanta. They're not huge markets. They're not Houston. They're not Salt Lake City. The only way that honestly I think that you get Quebec City back is, obviously you have to have 2 teams in the East and 2 in the West. So if you do bring back Arizona / Phoenix and Atlanta, it's 1 in the West, 1 in the East. You need 2 more. You need another Western team and another Eastern team. So the Western team, Houston. Who do you do for the Eastern team? That's where I think they would almost have no choice but to do Quebec, because what else is there out there? What else is there out there? I think you would have to do Quebec, which then of course leaves out Hartford, and Hartford's a good market too. But again, Hartford would be in the same situation. They don't have an NHL caliber building. Now, they were all ready to build one until Peter Karmanos decided to be an absolute, D-bag and they just told him, screw it. No, we're not dealing with you. And off went the Hartford Whalers off to Raleigh, North Carolina, where they've done pretty well. The Hurricanes have done pretty well since moving to Hartford. They've got a very good fan base, and but it was interesting. This press conference was interesting. Go back and check it out. It's very interesting. Morello had a lot of interesting things to say. Gary had a lot of things to say, and the topic of Utah potentially not having a team name for this first season. I don't see how that's possible, because you've had these teams that were able to come up with names and logos in a pretty relatively decent amount of time. I mean, when Atlanta moved to Winnipeg, that kind of happened out of the blue. Just all of a sudden they lost the arena and they had to move. So that happened, and they came up. Obviously they already had a ready-made name in the Winnipeg Jets, but they named the team at the draft. They named the team at the draft, or they announced the team name at the draft. It was only natural. If Winnipeg's going to get a team, you're going to name them the Jets. You can't name them anything else. And they come out at the draft, and say, here's our first pick for the Winnipeg Jets. And it was awesome. I was very, when I heard that, I was like, yes. And I think they'll do the same. And how they can't come up with a name in Utah, they've got a few names out there. I don't know what they'll come up with, but there are some interesting names out there that could be interesting. I've seen a few concepts of jerseys, and I think they could come up with an interesting name. But to me, you got to have a name. You can't just Utah HC. To me, is crazy.
Hi.
And there's the kid.
Hi.
So hopefully Utah comes up with a name sooner rather than later.
Worst team ever.
I wouldn't say the worst team ever. They're just
worst team ever.
They're just not going to be around anymore for a little while. But it will be interesting to see what Utah does, and we'll have to see. And do not quit monkeying around with the magnets.
These are the best teams.
Yeah, that's the kid. I know the kid likes Nashville and Florida.
Oh, and there's one more that's not on here.
Yeah, I know they're not in the playoffs. But it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully, Utah gets a team name and jerseys.
And this is the other best team.
Yeah, San Jose is her team. So, yeah. All right.
No, they need a close-up.
They've got a close-up. They've got a close-up. So,
close-up.
All right, they see it. They see it, kiddo.
The mouth. Yum, yum.
They see it, kiddo. Come on. So, we'll see what kind of name Utah comes up with. It'll be interesting. But check out that press conference. And let me know what you guys think. And the kid who decided to interject herself in the last couple minutes here, let me know what you guys think. Hit that like button. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Also, hit that subscribe button. That would be awesome, too. And I'll see you all later.